There we go. Currently quarantining with COVID, your whole vibe gives me life. Oh, I'm so glad. I just want to create a safe space. This is my going to work. It's weird. I was having so many conversations with my boyfriend and with fellow artists, and it's just like, what are you doing? What are we all doing? And it's like, it's hard to not, it's hard because, if things are annoying you, it's you, right? But it's been a struggle for me to like try to stand up for my sacred space and my time to do things like this. Because of course it's not making money. And of course, like all of us, like I need to make money, but I'm trying not to be penny wise and dollar dumb as far as my energy expenditure goes. And I know I can feel that things like this and the consistency of continuing to vlog and live, just for sharing is I can feel that it's valuable. And so I've been kind of getting up and putting myself into we want to talk about all of this motivation and inspiration and stuff. So, but then you get into like a situation in a house and it looks very different than people think it is. And that's the thing is like, that's what they don't see. They love to see people when they're like doing great and killing it and being an artist or whatever. But then they don't see this time where it's like, okay, well, even though we don't have real jobs, my job is to show up creatively for myself. And that means like, yes, I'm going to put on some clothes and I'm going to shut this door kindly and I'm going to my fake work. Yes. We both know it's yes, but you know what I mean? Like, so I've been, anyway, all that to say, I've been trying to toy with the idea, because I'm self-realizing just like we all are, you know what I mean? We're all trying to know we are knowing ourselves more shit's been cut away from us. So we're like, wow, I see myself in such more clarity from the trauma of this year. But as I've been doing that, and just trying to figure out like, not who am I, but now that I'm on the other side of this hill, Zoe, now that I'm on the other side of this hill and, I'm like back, I can feel it like, and I can just feel it, and, I'm finally on the other side of that hill where I am like, I didn't know if I'd ever get here. I never know I'd get to that place where, like that final veil of depression is just lifted just enough to where you didn't even know you were depressed, but like when it's kind of like having a stuffy nose and then like, you're just like, oh God, but the minute like all of a sudden breathing feels different, and you're like, oh, wow. And, I'm just so fucking grateful for that. You know what I mean? Cause, it's such a difference, like, the feeling of being curious and into life and this smear of a year of just weird time and shit where it's like, God, I can't even, and I know so many people feel like this. It's just like, I can't process anything from this year. I actually feel like there's a really good possibility that so much mental trauma has been just like bouncing around, but like we don't have time to process it. We barely have time to take polls of the things that we need to do, and who can trust polls anyway. But I kind of feel like in this weird way, I know it's true that I probably blacked out. Like I don't remember such long stretches of time, and it's just odd. It's just odd because I've done a lot actually, I haven't made my greatest art ever, but I've definitely like made some shit and changed and for the better and let go of shit and started some journeys that I'm like, wow, okay, well, here we go on this little journey. Like, okay, I guess I'm marching on to be a vegetarian one day, not anytime soon, but I'm taking this path now, which I know it's going to lead there. Or like the stopping drinking. And I'm like, I always knew it would come for me one day. I always knew the reckoning was going to come get me. And the only reason I stopped drinking was because my body just couldn't take it anymore. I went from being able to, I had a problem, being able to drink like a bottle of vodka a night easily, at least a flask of Hennessy or something easily. And I did that to my liver. I have, when am I going to stop? I mean, I would like to think I'm one of those old people that could be like, she smoked and she drank until she was 90 and she's still kicking. But my worst fear is other than a life of mediocrity, is dying by myself lonely with cancer. So I don't, I'm just, and I don't want to make my decisions based out of avoiding that. But that's just that's how I feel. Okay, so for the 4 random things on today's morning pages, Annalie of the future. We talk to Annalie of the future. We record these lives and vlogs. It's still unfortunate that every single live I've ever had saved has been lost to the ether of my Instagram account being hacked. I just have to say that. I'm going to have to say that for a while just to get it and spit it out of the universe. So instead of these being on IG, they are now on TikTok, and now we're trying to figure out how to take them to a YouTube space because I do want them saved because I like them as a space of self-reflection. I've learned things I've had in them. Like it's a diary. So we're trying to figure out that process. The podcasting thing. Not hi. Oh wait, you have Canada space of truth. Honestly, not too interesting. Aw, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. Thank you. Hi. How you doing, baby? I'm okay. Yes. So, future Annalie, today is December something. It doesn't fucking matter. It's a week before Christmas. Life is weird, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we have changed. We're not drinking. We live every day. This is not new. So what do we need to process today, and what are the random things that popped into our head before we go off and maybe create, maybe not, who knows? I was thinking about the fact that it's funny because I was thinking about the concept of like ugliness, because our ideals of beauty and our ideals of like how so many people are identifying themselves, and it's just it's beautiful, and people's ideas and there's so much more malleability and transformation happening now than there has been. It's just exponential explosions of it, right? And I was thinking about a video I made talking about like when people physically change, when you actually can see them for the first time, and then like you have a hard time remembering their face sometimes. But then when I know who they are, whether it's a laugh or a joke or something, and then I'm like, oh, I see you, like, oh, that's you, and then all of a sudden I can remember their face, blah 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 blah. And just having conversations with people, Annalie, and being so surprised in a lot of ways. I think that's where a lot of my frustration is coming from, like this fatigue of feeling like, I not like have known more things, but that's the best. Words are so inadequate, but kind of, and having been lucky enough to have a mother who immediately put literature into my lap from the jump as a kid, like, you create your own reality, Abraham Hicks, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Edgar Casey, the sex and all that shit, and knowing that I was so about that stuff when I was younger, and it was always very interwoven with wanting to be a performer, because I wanted to do someone got into look at great things happening in the world. Oh, nice things happening. Yay. Fuck yeah. Bring that energy in here. I love that. Fuck, I love that. Yes, and I was just thinking about, the whole idea of just beauty constructs. Love you, Logan. And so this is what I was thinking about. I was thinking about relationships, and I was thinking about the fact that I'm in such a weird place with relationships and love and everything, because I'm growing and self-discovering always. I think it's a fluid, ongoing process, and I'm rediscovering love with my ex-boyfriend, who's my boyfriend now. Blah 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 blah, and I just think it's so interesting how I brought up this concept where I was saying, okay, so let me 4 things to process. We're gonna get these 4 things, Annalie. Let's make an intention to get these 4 things, because this is not the whole point of being here all day. Get these next things in under 10 minutes. Woo! I don't know if we can do that. Okay. I was thinking about the fact that one day in my life, I had not one day, this experience where all of a sudden I found so many different people beautiful, different people attractive, right? In a very fundamental way. I was just like, oh my God, it was all of a sudden I had like more options. You know what I mean? It was just weird. I had just changed. I was exposed to so many things in a season of life to where something just shifted in me, and it was almost like stepping and upping out of my old suit, and I was just like, and it was just weird. And when that happens and you're still young and full of life, it's like a second puberty of like love and being able to, like, you know what I mean? You want to like experience people, and you want to It's very life altering, and you find everyone just beautiful. Like I was going through a lot of stuff, and so that happened, and I was shook with my own ability to I'm usually so much better than this with words. I was shocked and so disappointed and so like just truly in amazement of like how my brain had literally, it wasn't like my brain. It was like this, I didn't even realize how pre-programmed it was, like this template, this stamp of like just what I was supposed to accept as like pretty and beautiful, and all of a sudden it was like I became aware that my brain was working through this weird filter, and then I lifted that filter, and then I was like, holy fuck, like I'm literally I get to decide like who I think is beautiful. Like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The beholder is me. That's me. And it's always me because you're the only one ever living your life. You know what I mean? And like really feeling that and just being like, what? It's very important for you, Annalie, for me to explain that it was really like a whoa moment, you know, like I'm allowed to think, this is so stupid, I'm allowed to think that girls with shaved heads are feminine and sexy. There are other men that think that too. What does that mean in my brain? Why did I always go along with, and then being like, dun, 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 and feeling my brain like start to just like kind of start to consider other things and be like, so beautiful can be this? And me being like, if I decide it is, yeah. And it was just so, it was emotional, you know what I mean? Second puberty. Yes, I'm trying to change the ways in your brain is hard. Once you do, it feels so good. Yeah, and it was just so, the power I have. And so that was an amazing experience. And so then I was thinking the other day about this concept of ugly. Bullet point, we're almost done and we'll have to whiz through the next 30. And I was like, oh, whoa, so if beauty really is in the eye of the beholder, and I really do believe that like if you could really sit down and hear anyone laugh, or you could really know their story, like you could see beauty in everyone. You know what I mean? Like I just, whatever, like come for me. That's what I choose to believe. And I was like thinking about that, and I was like, so beauty's in the eye of the beholder, like you can, and you like, oh, that's not our power, like there is no, and then I was like, so that also has to mean that like, since beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it's the perceiver, so is ugliness, you know, like, and then I was like, so this whole idea of like anyone being ugly, and I sat with that, and I was like, there's like, no one is ugly. You know what I mean? And like, I kind of sat with that for a minute, and I was like, it's deeper than I can convey it. But it was just this moment because of, you know, that's such a thing for humans, like this feeling of like our outside presentation and the feeling of just wanting to be enough and attractive and just the connotation of like someone, the possibility that like a human could ever be like ugly. No, like energy can be ugly. Do you know what I mean? Like vibe can be ugly, for sure. That's why people's energy changes the way they changes the way they look. You know what I mean? Like a funny person can become so debonair and like literally the way they change his looks, it's your reality. It's all perception. And so it was just such a profound thing for me to sit with like, oh, like I've been going around with like, not only is like no one ugly, but also like, that's such a fucked up thing to even like the concept, like, you know how language affects how you think. Different cultures that speak different languages and use different words and don't have some equal words for each other that translate directly, it changes how you think. And I was just like, man, if I were like some linguist or something, I don't know if that's even the right word, like that'd be something I would like think about. Like, what about other cultures? Like, do they, like, there's gotta be, I don't know, it just seems like such a weird thing, you know, like people can't be, no one's ugly, they're just human. You know, I understand, like, and then people are like, well, what am I supposed to say? You're going to show me, like, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not talking about that. Like, and maybe that's just a weird, like, gap that I'm never going to be able to, like, meet up with some people. Because it's definitely, like, I've tried to talk to this about, with some people, and it's I can tell immediately when I'm like, okay, this is not going to get anywhere. But it was a cool realization for me to have. You know, I was like, whoa, like we could like let that go, and like that's such a fucking pervasive, weird narrative, false myth, false truth that like anyone is ugly. There's just a whatever. And it's all syntax, right? It's all how you look at it, you know? I saw this video of this girl talking about how she doesn't identify with being, God, I'm gonna mess it up. And the details are literally what matters. I'm like, I don't know if it was, she doesn't agree with the whole idea of, because she's an unconventional body type. She doesn't agree with the whole idea of being body positive, being body beautiful. And she was like, because not all bodies are beautiful. Like, it's just facts. Not all bodies are beautiful. And going around and like perpetuating this idea that like, oh, if you have an overweight body or an unconventional like ratio of face, like you're, you know, like that, you know, that whole thing of like, you're, that's not beautiful. Like, let's just be real. She was like, so, but she was saying what I do identify as body all accepting. And I get that. I do. Like, I do. Because something shouldn't have to be beautiful to have inherent value and worth. You know, that's not any type of requirement for something, you know, for its worth of existence, right? But I feel like we're kind of saying the same thing in just completely different ways. It's so interesting, right? Like, words are so inadequate. Like, I feel like when I was watching her video, I was like, you know, I could see like, I could just see things like little weird like blueprints in my head. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm just on the back end saying the reverse thing and flipping it and using I don't know. But yeah, that was my whole, oh my God. That was my whole thing on just, that was a nice thing to realize. Like we control our definitions for things. Like, it's beautiful and empowering. Okay, last three. When I did, we'll just wrap this all up into one. When I did the MTV show that I did, it was a lot like Impractical Jokesters, and it was a lot like, you know, like Jackass. And so it's a very unique experience. You know, there's like hidden cameras, and you're going out in the city every single day, and you're playing these pranks on people, and you're doing the most ridiculous things that are, you know, and it's not glamorous because your little you know, you're freezing in New York, shot in the winter, and you're in like a little makeup van, and even if you're like one of the headers of the show, those types of shows are exhausting. I've never been so exhausted on a gig ever. But it was such a cool experience because basically what I took away from it after doing countless hidden camera pranks on people and fucking with people in the most outrageous ways, you know, like really having like getting to set or getting a script the night before and finding out what I'm going to be doing, you know, what time I have to be on call, and seeing like what the stunt and what the prank's going to be. And I'm like having little mini breakdowns, being like, I can't, oh my God, I have to do what the fuck? I have to do this? Like, I'm not going to be able to do this. You know what I mean? I mean, some of them were super fun, but some of them were just like fucking with people, and like that gets exhausting. But more than anything, what I took away from that, and I think about that now, is we're not interacting with each other anymore. And, you know, we forget how to interact with each other. I've seen a lot of things where people are just like, I don't know how to be social anymore. And like, blah, blah, blah. It is that it was always so interesting to see how if you're put in that situation, which is not normal, you know, like a handful of anyone gets to actually do that and see it. And when you're in that situation, what you find is people are 9 times out of 10, hands down, way more like open and like down to kind of play and just generous than you'd think they'd be. You know, like, but truly, like the things you can ask strangers to do, that they will do is insane, you know. And I would have never, I went through the experience myself, and it still hasn't like galvanized itself enough, because that's how strong our fear factor of our you know, our brain is, where it's like, even after countless times of me literally proving to myself, the world proving to me that like, no, like people actually are more likely going to not give you the shot you need, the reaction shot. People are more likely going to make your day really hard out here as an actor, because a lot of them are not going to be outraged, and a lot of them are going to take things really far, where you're like, you okay? You really want to be helping me right now? Like, you don't have some, like, what's happening? The things that you can get people to do, and the amount of people that are willing just to have conversations with you, if you want to talk, you know, like even just, I know that it terrifies some people, the idea of just, let's say it's the old normal days. The amount of people that are terrified of the idea of just seeing like someone, like say like Central Park, you're in New York, and people are just hanging around the fountain, maybe smoking a joint, maybe someone's reading a paper, that would be so terrified just to go up to like a friendly person their age and just be like, what you got there? You know, what are you reading? I don't know if it's just because people don't do that more often, or if it's because of like this media and how we you know, I don't know. I think it's a lot of different things, but you know, there were so many times where I was like, there things people should not have been okay with, and had you know, I had so much patience for, you know. And I had to, like one day I had to be this girl that was like dipping tobacco, like chewing tobacco, and I was like spitting everywhere, and I was getting it all over my face, and just going up to guys with like everything in my teeth and just being like, what's going on? Like, you want to hang out? And like the amount of like all different types of like men and like that just were very actually nice, and just and didn't even bring it to my attention that I didn't have something here. Like, it was on purpose. I had stuff everywhere. But they were, you know, the director's in my ear, and he's like, just act normal. Just act normal. Just like be kind of flirty, act normal. And they, more often than not, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, why are you letting me, like, what is going on? You know, people in malls will let you sit in their cart and stroll you across the mall if you tell them that your heels are about to give out. Like, people did that. Like, numerous times of all different, like, and they were cool. No one was rude about it. Like, can I hop a ride in your cart? And then a lot of times you had like a really good laugh, and it was such a good experience, because it really taught me to live a lot more freely, and it taught me to kind of enjoy like taking a risk and playing with people, and taking those moments as opportunities just to like play with people, because it just makes life like better, you know, and knowing that after having that experience, knowing firsthand that people are down to like play like that. And I hope it continues to be like that with the world, and it will, because that's what I choose to believe. And so that's what I will attract. But yeah, like it was such a good experience, because yeah, it was just people aren't as closed off and nearly as like divided and angry as like everything you're seeing, like the only thing you're seeing right now in media. You know what I mean? There's so much division, and there's so much like racism, and there's so much you know, hatred of it. But it's like, it's not like that the stuff just popped up. That shit's always been there, you know. We're just talking about it now more, so we're exponentializing that energy of it. But like, what we're also not talking about is that like there's a whole group of people out there that we're just less known, because we're not the ones always with problems in the limelight. But there's a whole majority of people out there that are like fucking really like actually for real like woke, and really like just about energy and intention and vibe, and understanding there's nuance to everything, and understanding that like there's literally an obligation to show up and stay positively present, to be like little mini lighthouses, because collectively we understand that power, and collectively we understand that it's that's just that is your purpose duty, if there ever was one, you know, because life doesn't have any purpose. We imbue it and give it the purpose. That's the amazing thing about it, you know. It's just weird. It's just thoughts in my head, you know. Yeah, you know, it's crazy, because you would think that everyone hated everyone, you know, and they don't, you know. There's so much like vibe, tribe, love out there, and you know, real, recognizing real, and but you have to put yourself out there to find those people that are going to vibe with that, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just it's crazy, because it's hard to know what to believe and what reality is. But also, you know, a lot of some would say reality is there is no one reality, you know, because reality is just perception, and you're the only one that will ever perceive anything. And there's like many of us, and we're all just individual consciousnesses. We're all just the same, you know, just coming from a certain source and just kind of blinking and looking at each other and experiencing each other, which is experiencing ourselves. And it's just, you know, there are a lot of people that know that, you know, and there are people you'd never expect, you know. It's been cool to come to like what I call suburban yokel town, and of course I've been exhausted by some of it, but it's also been cool to like have my own just, you know, my first impressions proven wrong about people, and then be like, oh whoa, like cool. We speak this same language, and it's so crazy. It's like meeting people that are completely different than you, but it really is like speaking a different language. It may not be different words, but we don't have the words to speak this language because they're so inadequate, because we're talking about such grand concepts. We're talking about things that can truly only be identified, and that's your own choice, through feeling and resonance and vibe, and that's either yes or no, and you get to decide that. But it is literally like a different language. You either can speak the language of energy or you don't. And it's not like you can either speak the language of energy or you can't. That's not what I'm fucking saying. I'm just saying you either can or you can't. You either do or you don't, you know, like my sister does not speak the language of energy at all. She's my sister. I fucking love her to death. But if I am to have an exchange with her, like in the car, and I look at her, I remember this, and I had this exchange with her, and I had this really good thought chunk of expression come out, and I was like, this is very much how I feel, and it was perfectly woven, but I was like, yo, it's about energy and vibe and just being able to be, and you would have thought I had spoken, you know, like Yiddish to her. It was like the look of confusion and just, what are you taught? Like, what? And then later to come, I've forgiven her for this, but to come at me with like, you're what did she call it? Like you're psycho, you're mightier than thou psychobabble. And like, ooh, when I tell you, I was like, ooh, wow. Ooh, thank you, grand master teacher in this moment. Because yeah, that hit a button. That dang, definitely struck a little nerve in me. So obviously I have some room to work on that. Just so much of it's just so much involvement, you know, and so much I guess ready to be done, like waiting, you know. I'm just so ready to be done waiting. It's like being told to move on, but we're all in like this weird harness, and we're like trying to move on. Like we've gotten back up, you know, we've brushed ourselves off, but it's like, it's still like just this, can we just get through Christmas? Can we just get through New Year's? Can we, this is my experience. This is for me. But can we not like have to do unnecessary, like pulling out of, decorations and doing things that are exhausting because the same people aren't around, and a lot of the stuff we do sometimes during these holidays are all so based on like what we think and not really based on like actually just, you know, doing what the fuck you want to do to reconnect with these people that you don't really ever get to connect with, and you know, just shit like that. And I'm not a big holiday person anyway, but it just feels weird to me. It feels weird to me to like do the same thing when times are so different, you know. It just feels weird that we don't like that we just do it the exact same. I don't know. Yeah. So that was today's. It's okay. It's 1:20. That was today's freaking brain dump. The rest of the day we're gonna work on some sign language, and we're going to definitely try to. we're going to work on some sign language, and we're going to just try to pump out some just trying to play the game and keep this IG thing alive, and like start making some more original content and build forward, keep building forward, you know what I mean? Oh, thank you. Thanks for just sharing kind energy, because really I can't, I'm trying to do these as podcasts just for me, so I can and then if people want to they can listen to them, but it's just I appreciate that, because I can't do it without live presence. You know, it adds something to it. Even it's just different. So I'm trying to find that space. So I all that to say, I appreciate you sitting here in this moment of meditation and processing and just vibing and being here. I hope everyone's great. I hope everyone's not overthinking as much as I am, and just keep doing it. Keep showing up. We just have to. Right now, we're just waiting. So like. Jesus, let's just try to fucking chill out until we tiptoe into the next year. But we're all good now. Okay, love you guys.